a long-anticipated triple strike against Russia has finally landed, with the EU, the UK, and the United States having had enough of the Russian stalling tactics. This marks the most unified Western action since the start of the full-scale war, and the last straw for Eastern allies who are now cutting ties with Russia one by one. The turning point came when the United States abruptly cancelled the planned high-level summit in Hungary between Presidents Trump and Putin, discussed in a phone call between the two leaders earlier. Euromaidan Press media outlet reports, after Russia maintained its position of no ceasefire, that Ukraine should give up all claimed lands, should receive no security guarantees, while stating it would take some time to organize a delegation, the American side called the talks fruitless, given Russia's behavior before they even started. The consequences came swiftly as the United States finally lifted the restriction on Western-supplied missiles for deeper attacks, paving the way for the devastating Storm Shadow strike on the Bryansk chemical plant, carried out with American intelligence coordination. Then the United States, the UK, and the EU unveiled synchronized sanctions, the largest package since 2022, targeting Russia's energy and financial arteries. Russia's energy sector, already battered by Ukrainian drone and missile strikes, has been reduced from a global exporter to a struggling importer. The new sanctions deliver the final blow, as India announced a complete suspension of state imports to comply with US measures, while private refiners did the same, as the country negotiates a trade deal with the United States that would lower tariffs on Indian exports in exchange for cutting Russian oil, Euromaidan Press says. Meanwhile, China's state energy giants halted new seaborne Russian crude purchases within hours of the sanctions announcement, fearing secondary penalties for them as well. This effectively isolates Russia from its two biggest buyers and economic lifelines, which combined hold an over 85% share of Russian crude exports. In 2022, oil and gas brought $130 billion into the Russian federal budget. By 2023, that number had collapsed by nearly 20% to around $109 billion. Even with temporary stabilization in 2024, cumulative losses exceeded $100 billion due to price discounts for India and China, who took advantage of Russia's weakened market position. As of mid-2025, monthly oil tax receipts were down another 28% year on year. Now, sanctioned Rosneft and Lukoil accounted for half of Russia's 10.6 million barrels per day output and nearly a third of all federal tax revenue. Euromaidan Press claims. Analysts estimate that with the new sanctions and the withdrawal of India and China, Russia could lose an additional $70 to $120 billion annually, equal to almost 6% of its gross domestic product. The deeper problem is that Rosneft and Lukoil subsidiaries are embedded across rail, port, logistics, and petrochemical industries, employing millions and underpinning regional economies across Russia. Sanctions on their parent firms endanger almost every aspect of the Russian economy and, as a result, its exports, meaning the sanctions on only two of Russia's main oil companies threatens the entire transport, manufacturing, and stability of local and international Russian trade. Euromaidan Press says. Economists warn of a potential additional 5 to 10% GDP contraction of around $200 billion if these disruptions persist in the coming winter. For Russia, time is running out, and Putin may insist he will not act under pressure, but with energy giants crippled, allies retreating, and sanctions closing every door, the pressure is now total and inescapable.
After nearly 4 years of fighting back against Russia's full-scale invasion, Ukrainian forces are relying on aerial and land-based drones for combat and to support troops in the field. A report by Sky News showed a specialized drone unit in Ukraine's Donbass region deploying a land drone and rescuing an injured soldier. According to Associated Press, troops in the field refer to the extensive areas of the battlefield where drones do most of the fighting as the kill zone, Sky reported. Soldiers were seen loading an unmanned ground vehicle with supplies before deploying it in the field. Dramatic footage captured by the British broadcaster then showed a drone approaching a severely injured soldier before soldiers brought him in for treatment. Despite renewed US-led peace efforts, the war shows no sign of ending. With the Kremlin showing no willingness to compromise, US President Donald Trump raised the stakes by announcing sanctions last week against Russian oil giants Rosneft and Lukoil. Those sanctions are due to come into force on November 21st, and Zelensky says Trump probably will use this as a tool of pressure or dialogue with the Russians.
Все, пішли, хай веде.
There it goes.
Машина готова, хлопці готовляться, зараз будуть вирушати. Пораненому гірше, у нього починає бомбитися голова.
Молодці, бачу, допомагайте прийом. Так, ви провізію забрали чи ні?
Давай так прямо, зараз розрив наліво повертаємо.
Підараси, сука, я вами завтра займуся, нахуй. Єпі! Дивіться, хто там у нас ближче всі. Позиції. Варвар, пускай пульс перевірить. Ранку будемо приймати рішення, поки раз. Вперед. Пішло. Бать у нас все. Оп!
Is he all right? Is he alive?
Пульс був, дихання було. Зараз там бореться. Я нічого не можу вам сказати, дуже тяжкий, дуже. Конкретно тяжкий.
Добре.
Він не може йти.
Це ще бачу.